This is his most recent video, so go check it out. Show him love. The psychopathic hunting habits of Satan's favorite birds. The dinosaurs time forgot. Yeah, birds are crazy hunters, man. You know, they have crazy vision abilities. Their vision is crazy. The flying thing is a superpower. We can all agree. We all wish we could fly. But the vision, the accuracy, and just the sheer strength of some birds, is crazy. The size of the talons, and maybe their eating habits. There's a bird that likes to impale its prey on spikes. I forget what it's called, but that might get brought up here, I think. And then you have the bird that eats penguins asshole fast. What's it called? A putrid. A putrid. I think it's called a putrid, which is funny because it probably smells putrid. Maybe it's not putrid. Maybe it'll come up. But let's go. Let's see.
NANI? Slick back. That's what I said. Slick back. No, I'm a pimp named Slick back. Pimp named Slick back.
You see this nest? You want to know what built this nest? You don't want to know what built this nest. You
That
want to know
red.
what made these bones? You don't want to know what made these.
The happy.
This bird's a buckbeak coated. This bird's a buckbeak coated.
That's fucking amazing, dude. So I'm telling you, man. I've mentioned it before. We are so lucky that there's a size advantage we have, because this bird is almost too big. If that nest is real, we'll get there. But what the fuck, man? Like, this is... Slow down. Like look at the size of its feet, man. It's like the thickness of my wrist, bro. My forearm, man. That's usually what I look at most of the time with huge animals. That's my criteria. I usually look at the legs. Even giant dogs, look at their legs. They'll freak you out. Just the size. That's how you know you stand no chance. Because you see the the leg of a massive dog, or just a lion. Like when you see people like do like a scale check when they put like a euthanized lion or tranquilized lion, euthanized, and they do like a size comparison with the paw, versus the human hand, and it's just like the size difference is crazy. Yeah, like a lion could just paw your entire face very easily. Like, I think if you put like a lion paw in front like this, my face would completely be covered up. I think so. Maybe that's a bit much, but my criteria is usually the feet. I'm not a foot fetish, but the feet tell you a lot about size. You see it with big dogs, even on their puppies. They have big legs. They almost look clunky, like they don't fit their legs because their legs are massive. Big paws on a puppy. It's going to be a massive dog. Look at the size of those fucking talons, bro. That's great. That's freaky, man. I've also seen it with giant rats. I remember seeing a gigantic rat one time, the size of a rabbit, this thing. And just the size of its legs freaked me out, man. I was like, I don't think I'd be able to handle myself one-on-one with this thing. It's almost my size, like the thickness of the legs, like my forearm, like this. Yeah, that's crazy. That thing is huge, man. That thing is huge.
This bird.
Pause.
This bird's a buckbeak coated me to my mental stability. The harpy eagle's a homicidal hippogriff with the jungle census on its hit list. And a big reason is harpies having the largest claws of any bird. Not only do they have vice grip talons that could comfortably dab.
Fuck, man. Look at those fucking things, man. That's not normal. That's not normal. Look at that thing. These are not like, these are almost paws. You know, I think bird legs for birds, like normal birds, pigeons, doves, and stuff, the ones you see every day, their legs are really delicate. They look like they would snap very easily. You know, even chickens, their legs are delicate in a way. When you start seeing, like, these are almost paws. Like, these are huge. These are not like, I feel like you're not breaking that leg. Like, you could snap a chicken's leg easy. You're not snapping that. There's a legit bone inside them, but their bones are hollow. So I don't know if their leg bones are solid, because birds have hollow bones. So maybe it's just the wings that are hollow. I don't know. Those are huge, man. Like, that's freaky. And that's the telltale sign that birds are dinosaurs. Like, their legs are, like, they have like lizard legs. They have like almost, these legs almost, they come close to like Komodo dragon legs type thing, you know. Very similar. Descendants of dinosaurs. Imagine that thing just grabbing you, man. Fucked, man. That is crazy.
Reason is harpies having the largest claws of any bird. Not only do they have vice grip talons that could comfortably dap up a grizzly bear's paws, they say getting gripped by them is like getting caught in a Rottweiler's jaws. They're the national bird of Panama, but you finna be pantomiming once this Jurassic reject takes your breath by crushing your windpipe. But by far the most out-of-pocket thing is what nature went ahead and did with their wings. Unlike most birds its size, harpy eagles have relatively short wings. I'm talking about if eagles were the NBA, this would be their build. But the short wings just means this life unsubscription service can duck and weave through the dense jungle to catch a body. Which also means there are very few things alive in the Amazon that a hunting harpy can't pack up, from monkeys and sloths, to armadillos, snakes, and porcupines, to other predators like ocelots and foxes. They'll also body other birds like parrots, and they'll even murk other raptors like vultures. But then, what even is a raptor? The answer might just surprise you. Raptors are what most people might call birds of prey, which is already a problem because there's plenty of other birds that'll have you preying. So the raptor title gets gatekept to the birds with all three: a sharp hooked beak, a Jurassic style pedicure and talons, and an OP sense of sight. So without a hooked beak but webbed feet, the demonic garbage chute misses the cut. Chronic Crash Out the Canada Goose doesn't sit at the raptor lunch table, because if it did, it probably would have seen that coming. But the whole raptor thing's a pain in the prostate, and it's because raptors, they're basically cats that can fly. You remember the cat video I made and how insanely convoluted?
There's a lizard called a raptor. I don't know if it's the name of the lizard itself or it's a species name, or if it's a type of lizard. But there's a lizard type called a raptor. It's like a small monitor lizard thing. You know, monitor lizards are monitor lizards. Smaller than Komodos.
Demonic garbage chute gets gatekept prey, which is already a problem because there's plenty of other birds that'll have you preying. So the raptor title gets gatekept to the birds with all three: a sharp hooked beak, a Jurassic style pedicure and talons, and an OP sense of sight. So without a hooked beak but webbed feet, the demonic garbage chute misses the cut. Chronic Crash Out the Canada Goose doesn't sit at the raptor lunch table, because if it did, it probably would have seen that coming. But the whole the Canada Goose doesn't sit at the raptor lunch table, because if it did, it probably would have seen that coming. Chronic Crash Out the Canada sight. So without a hooked beak but webbed feet, the demonic garbage.
That bird tried to come and save one of the chicks, but too late. Yeah. Also, the bird that gets hit by a car, like, that's mission accomplished for the bird that was chasing you. If I'm trying to fuck you up and you run and you get hit by a car, mission accomplished. I was trying to fuck you up anyway.
Shoot misses the cut. Chronic Crash Out the Canada Goose doesn't sit at the raptor lunch table, because if it did, it probably would have seen that coming. But the whole raptor thing's a pain in the prostate, and it's because raptors, They're basically cats that can fly. You remember the cat video I made and how insanely convoluted the names got? Like how a black panther isn't actually an animal, a cat called a panther isn't actually a panther, a snow leopard is genetically closer to a tiger, and how a cougar pushing a panther isn't actually a panther, a snow leopard is genetically closer to a tiger, and how a cougar pushing 220 ain't a big cat, but a cat barely a $110 is. Raptors are low-key the same, where the name raptor doesn't describe a family or union, but like Black Panther, raptor is more like a description. But I'm gonna get to that. Now, the other problem with raptors is that nature basically bamboozled them. Of course, the ability to fly is broken, but it comes with hollow bones. Now, hollow bones aren't to keep the bird light enough for flight. It's more that pneumatic bones are filled with air and so give extra oxygen to fuel their flight. But it also means a broken bone is a career-ending injury for an avian, and as hunters, they run the risk of getting folded by their own prey. The compromise is, raptors have some of the most, as hunters, they run the risk of getting folded by their own prey. The compromise is, raptors have
Did you see that sloth, man? Trying to slowly paw at that bird, and then the bird is just like, dude. Being a sloth is the worst. That's the worst animal you can be. That is the worst animal you can be. It doesn't get worse than a sloth. Like, it's just slow, and there's nothing you can do about it, man. Even in an emergency situation, you can't just, like, even in those moments, that's a fight, bro. And you're just slowly punching. Slow-mo. Just a slow-mo punch. Just imagine, man. You're about to get jumped to death. And this is your defense. This is your defense, man. Being a sloth is the worst. It's the worst. I'm surprised that we still have them. They should have, sloths and pandas shouldn't be here. How pandas, I understand, we're keeping them here. I don't know if sloths are endangered. I feel like maybe animals have an agreement to not overdo it with sloths, because I don't know how just animals and just hunt animals that hunt haven't just decimated sloths. How are they still around? This is their defense.
have some of the, and as hunters, they run the risk of getting folded by their own prey. The compromise is, raptors have some of the most heinously creative ways of confiscating consciousness, revoking your existence. Whatever you want to call it, the bird of prey hunting strat is straight out of the pages of a mob boss's torture diary. And we can start with the secretary bird, aka Jurassic Park in yoga pants, named after the fact that, like a secretary, they'll connect you to the big boss upstairs if you give them the chance. They cancel prey by kicking them in the head until they flatline or just lie flat, and their usual targets are snakes. The combo of delivering multiple kicks in a time it takes to blink, and how disrespectfully accurate they are, all adds up to a 6-piece serpent assault where they spam the blink, and how disrespectfully accurate they are, all adds up to a 6-piece serpent assault where they spam a river dance on a snake's skull until it caves in, leaving the snake out of order like a reptile dysfunction. You gotta hand it to them, that's pretty metal. Actually, you should do the opposite, since the Kung Fu Crane can apparently shatter the bones in a human hand. And it's not just snakes, secretaries will go after things like cheetah cubs and baby gazelle. I think now is a good time to mention they can be an honest 4 feet tall, with a thigh gap no less. As you can see, they're liable to violate snakes and beauty standards, all while being one of the few birds with 2 pairs of wings, no Red Bull. This high-stepping battery charge
You got me the thigh gap thing, but the thigh gap. The secondary bird is very sassy. The look, I assume it's just wearing heels, just stomping. It's very, it's perfectly named. You know, I love the secretary bird. It's fucking fantastic. Very unique. I think it's the only one of its kind. Maybe not. Maybe, probably other birds out there that stomp. I think there are others that stomp. There's a bird. Maybe it'll come up. There's a bird that spreads its wings over its head like this, and then it creates a shadow, a shade. Then fish come to the shade. Is it fish? Yeah. It does this in water. It creates a shade. I don't know why the fish want shade. Maybe it's hot under them. You know what? I don't know why you need shade, but what a fish. They come in for shade and then it picks them off. Like a trick, man. It knows how to create that trap. That's crazy. I think that's very creative. They are very creative when they're doing their mating dances. But the secretary bird is very unique. They look, how big they are, and that patented, maybe not patented, but signature stomping, man. They look like really sassy chicks. You know, they have a very feminine and sassy look to them. You know, it's a species that only looks female. I feel like even a male secretary bird would look female. You know, they just look female.
Snakes, secretaries will go after things like cheetah cubs and baby gazelle. I think now is a good time to mention they can be an honest 4 feet tall, with a thigh gap no less. As you can see, they're liable to violate snakes and beauty standards, all while being one of the few birds with 2 pairs of wings, no Red Bull. This high-stepping battery charges with all the smoke, literally, because they'll get with 2 pairs of wings, no Red Bull. This high-stepping battery charges with all the smoke, literally, because they'll gather around brush fires just for the opportunity to murk any small animal running for its life. Don't let the pretty privilege distract you. It's an African assassin chicken in thigh boots dressed like a recently divorced mother of 3. And the privilege distract you. It's an African assassin chicken in thigh boots dressed like a recently divorced mother of 3. And they're not the only ones, because I'll be honest, I low-key forgot this bird existed. This is a Seriama. It's basically a Latin secretary bird, but the real family tree flex is they're the only living relatives of terror birds. Yes, those terror birds. They might be less vertically gifted at of terror birds. Yes.
Orosracidae. Sheesh. Terror birds. I've never heard of these. Look at the size of these legs. I'm telling you. Maybe I'm not breaking news here. Maybe I'm just, it's not just me that knows this. Because I learned it somewhere too. Yeah. At some point in my life, pointed out the size of a dog's legs. I think it was a puppy. You know, they told me that puppy is going to be huge. I was like, how do you know? Look at the size of the legs. And since then, I've been looking at legs to measure like how big animals are. Look at the size of those fucking legs.
Those terror birds. They might be less vertically gifted at less than 2 feet tall, but instead of kicking,
These are unique because these have really skinny legs. They're like flamingo legs. The legs are not thick. So they're unique in that way. But they're not like huge. They are skinny, lanky. It's a different build. You can still pack power. A lot of power with a lanky build.
Those terror birds. They might be less vertically gifted at less than 2 feet tall, but instead of kicking, Seriamas rather body slam their prey to death. The dinosaur time forgot will grab prey and slam them into the ground or against a rock repeatedly. They'll spam suplex as many times as it takes for the bones to break. And if you're too big for all that, they'll use the same sickle claw their prehistoric cousins used to hold down prey and disembowel it alive. So if you get targeted by a Seriama, you'll either get the Hulk to Loki treatment, except from a travel-sized terror turkey, eviscerated and violated while pinned by a weaponized toenail, or just swallowed clean like a vorophile's wet dream. So
the cassowary is going to be on this list. The cassowary, that miniature ostrich thing.
So far, we have a curb stomping, a weaponized toenail, or just swallowed clean like a vorophile's wet dream. So far, we have a curb stomping aggro bird and a mob boss build and terror bird final form. And we're just getting started. This is a kite, and before you ask, this was named after the bird, not the other way around. A kite is like the forgotten little brother of eagles and hawks, and like a kite, they catch bodies by hovering above the ground and waiting for movement so they can swoop down and snatch it. I believe kiting is the expression. They're pretty cool. They grief many of the insects that make life slightly less worth living. The 17-year cicada parade is basically their Super Bowl. Like the secretary bird, they too will gather around grass fires, and any animal trying to run from the smoke gets ironically cooked. But Australian black kites take it a step felony by carrying burning twigs and dropping them on patches of grass. An act of avian arson that got them another name, firehawks. Apparently this is nothing new, with records of them stealing brands from indigenous cooking fires and dropping them half a mile away. There have even been scientific records of them dropping bread into water to bait small fish. And if it wasn't for this clip, I probably wouldn't believe it. You'd think an aerial arsonist airdropping Inferno in a country that has up to 60,000 wildfires a year would immediately get blacklisted. But no, black kites are protected because once again, of course a felon with wings is above the law. They're also banned in Boston, but only because we all know Boston can't stand the heat. Now I have a whole video on owls, so I'm not going to talk too much about them. But this is the start of what I was talking about, because you'd normally expect a raptor to be related to other raptors. Instead, the owl's closest relative looks like a Muppet flashlight. Flashlight? What does that? Oh! Well, I can't say that. Owls are predators on incognito, thanks to feathers that allow them to fly almost completely silently. Again, you don't realize how incognito.
I got the flashlight thing.
Owl's closest relative looks like a Muppet flashlight. Flashlight? What does that? Oh! Well, I can't say that. Owls are predators on incognito, thanks to feathers that allow them to fly almost completely silently. Again, you don't realize how unsettling that is till you go to bed a family and wake up a single mother. They also have a satellite dish for a face and uneven ears, so even under a foot of snow, they can hear exactly where you're about to go. Owls are 100% the closest thing to cryptids with wings, and while they haven't murked people, allegedly, there's plenty of predators that do feed off unsuspecting humans, just like you, including arguably the worst predator of all, data brokers. Yeah, there it is. That's what it looks like to get folded by a falcon. You see, falcons are cool, but they're weaker than eagles and hawks, so instead they commit to the fastest hit and runs on Earth. Literally, the fastest. So falcons like the peregrine will start up high and dive, that's called the stoop, and once the flying derecho hits triple-digit miles per hour, they'll ball up their feet like a fist. So yeah, they really do falcon punch their prey into past tense. Didn't even give them time to duck. Not only that, but falcons also have a toe mule tooth made specifically to snap spinal cords and send prey to the Lord like Sunday service, all while flying. The one-shot specialist has been known to snipe bald and golden eagles threatening their nest, and there was one time a snowy owl murked a falcon been known to snipe bald and send prey.
Like that eagle looks terrified. I've never seen a bird look. Like I saw emotion on that eagle's face. Like it looks like, holy fuck, I fucked up. Like look at this next image.
To the Lord like Sunday service, all while flying. The one-shot specialist has been.
Look at that eagle, man. Look at the face of the falcon versus the face of the eagle, and it has snatched like a chunk of feathers from its back, man. That eagle is like, holy fuck. And that falcon means business, man. That eagle is terrified. Like, look at the face of that eagle. It's not a good look, man.
Known to snipe bald and golden eagles threatening their nest. And there was one time a snowy owl murked a falcon fledgling, so the mother falcon went and life deprived the owl. There's a lot of ways falcons are built for speed, but the biggest flex is that the falcon went and life deprived the owl. There's a lot of ways falcons are built for speed, but the biggest flex is that they have the fastest processing speed of any animal alive. Compared to us, they see the world in slow motion. Falcons are dope, but because of them, we have to address the whole raptor thing again. Because instead of hawks, eagles, or any other bird of prey, the missile with wings is most related to parrots. So again, raptor isn't a family name, most of them aren't even closely related. But there are a lot of falcons, like the American kestrel. I like them because they're pretty. Small. The colorway ain't bad either. They also factory reset prey by stabbing them in the back of the head with that tooth, but you can't deny this psychopath's cute. The black-thighed falconet is the smallest bird of prey. Head with that tooth. Small. The colorway ain't bad either. They also factory reset prey by stabbing them in the back of the head with that
That's
tooth.
beautiful.
You can't deny
man.
this psychopath's cute. The
That's really
black-thighed
beautiful.
falconet is the smallest bird of prey in the weight class of a sparrow, yet they also find a way to pack up other birds. The pygmy falcon is a nest pirate that often shacks up in the homes of weaver birds. Normally it's a good gig with the pygmies clearing out snakes and lizards, but sometimes they'll switch up and kill their weaver bird roommates, so there's that. But there's another falcon that might just be the biggest bird off of all, and it might also be the most underrated. Next to bad is the caracara. The caracara is a black Air Force parrot. Unlike every other falcon, they'd rather handle business on the ground. They live on honey badger timings, and they'll pull up to a carcass and bully bigger vultures out the way. The crested caracara is a special kind of klepto. They'll straight up mob other birds like pelicans and press them into vomiting their lunch so they can have it. Striated caracaras in the Falklands are a Pennywise level threat to minor safety. You know, raptor comes from the Latin word to seize or take by.
They're built like bullies. They have a bully build. They have a strong face. They have a bully build. You know? Look at this bird,
underrated.
man.
Next to that
What do I
is
say?
the Caracara. The Caracara is a black Air Force parrot. Unlike every other falcon, they'd rather handle business on the
Look at this.
ground. They live on honey badger timing, since they'll pull up to a carcass and bully bigger vultures out the way. The crested Caracara is a special kind of klepto. They'll straight up mob other birds like pelicans and press them into vomiting their lunch so they can have it. Striated Caracaras and the Falklands are a Pennywise level threat to minor safety. You know, raptor comes from the Latin word to seize or take by force. That's what this avian Amber Alert lives by. Their lunch so they can have it. Striated Caracaras and the Falklands are a Pennywise level threat to minor safety. You know, raptor comes from the Latin word to seize. Straight up mob other birds like pelicans and press them into vomiting their lunch so they can have it. Striated Caracaras and the Falklands are a Pennywise level threat to minor safety. You know, raptor comes from the Latin word to seize or take by force. That's what this avian Amber Alert lives by. Caracaras will also link up with each other and form gangs and have honest-to-God turf wars. Even back in the day, they were on Darwin's radar. In 1830, he mentioned how curious they were, but also how annoying it was to live around a bird that'll steal anything that isn't nailed down. Turns out this affiliated delinquent of a bird is low-key the gifted student of the raptor class, and is even smart enough to solve puzzles for fun. Basically, Caracaras are if the peregrine falcon and the secretary bird had a baby, but it was adopted and raised by crows and tutored by the key on weekends. Just an overall underrated menace of a dinosaur, but also a hyper-intelligent, talented opportunist. Actually, I take that back. Vultures might be the most underrated. People assume something with the feeding habits of a casket is a pushover, and they do get their cookies taken by other raptors. But vultures very much can be about that life too, especially since black vultures often won't wait for an animal to expire. They'll put weak, sick, or young animals on a shirt. Some farmers know all too well. Sometimes they'll wait for a cow to give birth just to jump the newborn and return the sender. Sometimes they won't even wait and they'll move on a cow in labor and act like the world's most malicious midwives. Getting violated by vultures means eyes gouged out, tongue torn off, and they'll even break through the back door. Basically, the booty warrior's eyes gouged out, tongue torn off, and they'll even break through the back
God damn.
door. Basically the booty warrior of birds, but unlike boondocks, this one's protected by law. From a surgical psychopath to a scavenger. Yet a bearded vulture eats almost nothing but bones, and they've even been known to swallow one's nearly scavenger. Yet a bearded vulture eats almost nothing.
What the fuck are you swallowing bone like that, man? Like, I understand, like, swallowing a bird whole. There's a lot of bones in that bird, but it's packaged nicely. It's big, but it's swallowable. Pause. This is just a bone. It's not even like... It's big. It's huge. It's not... It looks like there's no meat. It's just a bare bone. How?
But bone. From a surgical psychopath to a scavenger. Yet a bearded vulture eats almost nothing but bones, and they've even been known to swallow ones nearly a foot long. But once in a while, they'll go after the living, sometimes in the form of airdropping a tortoise hundreds of feet to feed on the insides like a piñata. You know, mountain climbers were so spiritually disturbed by the beardy, they called it the bird of Satan. To be fair, they have a sclera ring.
Bro, that's crazy to me. That's the craziest thing I've seen in a while, man. Like, I remember when I saw a pelican swallow, not even a pelican. Was it a kestrel? Like, it was a tiny bird. I think it was probably even like a seagull or something. I saw a seagull swallow. Was it a seagull? Some seabird swallow a massive fish. I saw one swallow a massive rabbit, just like it was nothing. Like, this rabbit was almost the bird's size, and it just swallowed it like it was nothing. Shocked me. The bone thing is even crazier. The bone thing, because you've held bones before. That shit can't be fun to swallow. It's not even flexible. Swallowing a rabbit is crazy, but at least it's bending, it's bendy. This is just like swallowing like a branch. Just a stick. God damn, how do you even maneuver that through?
Around their eyes, actually disturbed by the beardy, they called it the bird of Satan on the insides like a piñata. You know, mountain climbers were so spiritually disturbed by the beardy, they called it the bird of Satan. To be fair, they have a sclera ring around their eyes that fills with blood when stressed and makes their eyes turn bloodshot when running a fade. The Grim Reaper's working with a whole showering gun activated. I don't blame him, that is demonic character design. Also, a bearded vulture allegedly murked a man with a turtle shell to the head like Mario Kart, which sounds fake, but keep in mind, there's a woman walking around with scars from breaking a porcupine's fall. RNG can be a real art, which sounds fake, but keep in mind.
Ouch, woman left with 272 needles in her head after a porcupine falls from a lamppost onto her. Holy shit. Yeah, sometimes the world is just like, fuck you. The universe is just like, yo, fuck you. This is that. You know, random shit like this. You did something bad to someone for this to happen to you. Like, this is freaky. We need to look into you. This is the universe being like, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy.
Mine, there's a woman walking around with scars from breaking a porcupine's fall.
fuck.
RNG
Fuck this chick.
can be a real ad. All that, and you still can't show me a bird walking around with scars from breaking a porcupine's fall. RNG can be a real ad. All that, and you still can't show me a bird with the harpy eagle's aura. We already mentioned a life-canceling clause that could probably crush your skull, which is why harpy eagles have a prey list of over 116 species. And that includes your skull, which is why harpy eagles have a prey list of over 100.
God damn, man. That's like daggers. Those are daggers, man. Just walking around, parking. Just, just like 5 swords. Walking around like Deadpool. With like 5 swords, though. Just with knives. Just parking openly.
106 canceling clause that could probably crush your skull, which is why harpy eagles have a prey list of over 160 canceling clause that could probably crush your skull, which is why harpy eagles have a prey list of over 116 species. And that includes putting other raptors like Seriamas and vultures on shirts. Don't think for one second nature came out with this and stopped there. The African crowned eagle is basically the harpy of the motherland, same survival revoking claws, and same short wings to make it a menace to monkey kind. And they're the only raptor to allegedly see people as prey, with reports of human child remains in nests and the infamous tongue child believed to have been packed up by an African crown. Honestly, any continent outside of penguin land has at least one of these eagles. Australian wedgetails go after kangaroos and dingoes, and they're territorial enough to fade a $1,000 drone on sight. There was one time a wedgie fought a helicopter and won, past tensing a pilot in the process. RIP. The North American wedgie fought a helicopter and won, past tensing a pilot in the process. RIP. The North American golden eagle has a hit list of prey in the 400s. But really their claim to fame is how they'll give goats a first-class flight to the gulag with no return trip. I'm sorry, this is so disrespectful. Look at this animation. He gave him an NPC death, gave him nothing but time to reflect. There's the Philippine eagle, which honestly mogs the out of everyone for no reason. But there might not be a bigger flex than the stellar sea eagle. You know, if this wasn't on camera, nobody'd ever believe you. It's one of the heaviest eagles on Earth with an 8-foot wingspan. It's an oppressive force in Featherface that's apparently been seen carting off seals. Clearly the meteor told him to take a sick day, cause dog, you're not telling me that's not a dinosaur. And low-key, they might go the same way. For all the harpy hate I was talking, there's no recorded case of a harpy eagle killing or even attacking a human. In fact, it's them not being afraid of humans that can get them put on a shirt by poachers. Add habitat destruction, and if raptors like them aren't endangered, they're at least in danger of being endangered. Which is why you got places like the Raptor Trust in Millington, New Jersey, looking after all kinds of birds from Ollie the kestrel to Virgil the turkey vulture. They got couples too, like Mariah and Thor the golden eagles. They're mad cute together. And of course the symbol of America, Colonel and Uno. Uno because of the whole one wing thing. And even though they're technically not raptors, I even met Ray the Raven. You know what's crazy? He's in a cage, and he's in a relationship with another wild raven. Like, he'll even sneak food between the bars of his cage for her. You know what's crazier? His girl has a whole nother family in the wild. I usually don't rock with homewreckers, but I'm rocking with Ray. But like I said, my favorites were definitely the owls, especially this barred owl named Sunny. I think he liked that wild raven, like Raven. You know what's crazy? He's in a cage, and he's in a relationship with another wild raven. Like, he'll even sneak food between the bars of his cage for her. You know what's crazier? His girl has a whole nother family in the wild. I usually don't rock with homewreckers, but I'm rocking with Ray. But like I said, my favorites were definitely the owls, especially this barred owl named Sunny. I think he liked me. Although the vultures gotta be a close second, since they'll literally walk up and follow you around like a puppy. Oh, this isn't sponsored, by the way. I just had a good time and wanted to shout them out. So if you're ever in the area, the Raptor Trust in Millington, New Jersey, 100% recommended. But that's gonna do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother, forget that. Shout out to Incogni for sponsoring this video. Shout out to the pigeon paralysis demon. Drink water, hug your mother, forget that. Shout out to Incogni for sponsoring this video. Shout out to the pigeon paralysis demon for sponsoring Imagination. And I'ma see y'all in the next one.
That's the. This was featured. Fuck me. Yeah. This is the Karakara. Like, this thing should be taking off, but it wants to fight instead. Like, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Wow. Good video. Very, very good video.